Hi gang! Today we're gonna finish this Ultramarine. We're gonna do some edge highlighting. I've painted his helmet red and his gun black just in preparation, just so I can show you how it works on other colours. I used Abaddon black for the gun and Wazdakka red for the helmet, and I'm gonna do the edge highlights on the armour with Temple Gaurd Blue and on the helmet with Wild Ryder Red. And then I'm gonna go and do some little dot highlights on the gold with Stormhost Silver. I'm still using my little silicone fidget toy for paint, but you can use a wet palette and just make sure it's not moldy, make sure it's wet. So starting off, as with on the other tutorials, we're just gonna start off with some paper. We're gonna fold a piece of, in my case, card in half, and I'm just gonna paint it blue like the armour on the Ultramarine. Then I'm going to take my brush and, using the Temple Gaurd Blue, I'm going to use the side of the brush, not the tip, just to gently wipe the paint along the edge. This will leave you with a nice clean edge without too much overspill. If you try and use the tip of the brush, you need to be more accurate and less shaky. So I had pretty shaky hands when I filmed this, so I'm using the edge of the brush as much as I can, just to get that neat line. So then moving on to the actual Space Marine, I'm going to start at his neck and just do the big thick bit at the top of his neck guard. So I just work my way down the Space Marine, getting all of the edges. I'm not bothering too much about light, I'm just getting every edge that I can see. When you're edge highlighting, it's generally to do every edge, it's not necessarily to go with a zenithal or a lighting technique, it's just to make it look pretty from all angles and it's equally lit in all sides. I am having to use the tip of the brush in some places where there isn't quite enough of an edge for me to scrape the edge of the brush down. And it is a little messy, so I will go back later with the Calidor Blue just to clean up some of the lines where I've overdone it a bit. I think this works great with Space Marines because they do have a lot of edges. Also with the Tau mechs, just because it's very cubular, very square, so it's easy to quickly do. You can always dry brush, like in the previous tutorial, to get the edges, but if you just want the edges and you don't want any overflow like you get on dry brushing, then this is the way. It looks a bit more clean, it looks more cartoony. So moving on to the head, I'm using the Wild Ryder Red. It is a little similar to the Wazdakka, but I think it's enough of a difference. You can always use like a yellow or an orange. I don't recommend white, just because we'll be doing the spot highlights after in a brighter color. So that's all of the helmet and the spacesuit done, so now I'm just going to do the gun with Mechanicus Standard Grey. Again, this is quite a dark colour, but because we're doing the spot highlights, it makes sense. As the gun is very mechanical, there's a lot of edges, so this was quite good to show the using the edge of the brush. I have sped it up again, but yeah, just get all the edges and you'll get that sort of comic booky outlined look quite easy. The good thing about this technique is that you can just go back with the base color that you've used and just clean up the lines. I do find that that is easier in some cases when you do have little tiny bits that you need to edge, but there isn't much space to do it in. I would also recommend sub-assembling your minis like this. I feel like I shouldn't have glued his arm on because I am unable to edge highlight the other side of his arms and his chest and the other side of the gun, but you don't really see it, so this is just when I'm cleaning up, just going in with the Abaddon on the gun, the Calidor on the blue, and there wasn't really anything to clean up on the helmet, but if there is. So now I'm doing the spot highlight. I am switching to a smaller brush just because I do want to use the tip a little more. So for spot highlights, you just want to get the edges. It looks a bit derpy at the start, but after it's all done, it does come together quite well. It's very trust the process. So this is just to help give a little more 3D to the edging, give it some little glistens. I'm doing all of them on the red, blue and black with Fenrisian Grey. It's a slightly blue-grey, but it looks quite nice, and I think it's nice to have the spot highlights be very like the same color throughout, kind of ties it together. I did do the scopes as well on his gun, just to give it a little extra oomph. I am using the tip of the brush for this, but it's just because I'm literally making spots, essentially. I just painted his eyes in real quick, and then we're just gonna do the same, but with the Stormhost Silver on the gold. I did a little bit of the edges on the wings as well, and a little bit along the pauldrons. So if you followed my previous tutorial about freehanding and you got your omega signs up and your squad symbols on, and now you've done this with your edge highlightings, you should have a pretty good Space Marine. If you want more help on your minis, I do host a Friday feedback session on my stream. If you want to post in my Discord, it is linked below. I also put out a tutorial every Monday. If you want me to cover anything specific for a tutorial, please let me know in the comments or in the Discord, and I'll see you next week.